Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're tackling something pretty ambitious, really. It's this idea that you can actually profoundly transform your life in just 90 days. 3 months. It sounds almost too good to be true for real change, doesn't it? But the source material we're looking at today, it really lays out a strong case for exactly that.
It really does. Yeah, our deep dive today comes from this practical guide, and what's really interesting is how it structures everything. It's not just, vague ideas. It's very step-by-step, day 1 through 90, actionable insights. We're basically giving you a shortcut here to understanding the mechanics of change level on this guide.
Right. So our mission then is to unpack these core principles and, the specific daily things it suggests you do that promise this complete life shift, helping you figure out what makes this approach maybe so effective. Sound good? Let's get into it. Okay, so the journey, like you said, it's structured. It starts with what the guide calls the foundation. That's days 1 to 30. And this whole first month, it's all about the mind. It centers on that phrase, what you think you become. We've all heard that, right? But how does this guide make it more than just like a nice saying?
Yeah, that's a great point, because it does move beyond just thinking positively. It treats your mindset like a muscle, something you actually train. So for these first 30 days, it gives you specific mental exercises, like 10 minutes of meditation daily. And it's not about anything mystical. It's framed as deliberate practice in controlling your attention. That's seen as the base layer. Then there's writing down an affirmation. I am becoming better every day. Again, not wishful thinking, but presented as a way to sort of reprogram your subconscious, cognitive restructuring, basically. And maybe the most challenging part for some, actively distancing yourself from negative people and conversations. It calls this essential mental hygiene, like protecting the new pathways you're trying to build in your brain.
Okay, so it's very intentional, almost clinical, and you're managing your thoughts precisely. But, especially when you're starting out, those negative thoughts can feel really strong. Does the guide mention how to handle that initial pushback? Beyond just, stay away from negativity, how do you actually keep that discipline going for 30 days straight?
Well, it really emphasizes consistency over, intensity. The guide sort of implies that because it's only 10 minutes, these practices are sustainable, even on a bad day. It's more about just showing up, building that streak, rather than having some perfect, Zen moment every time. The focus is really on making positive thought patterns habitual. So over time, that internal resistance, it naturally starts to lessen. It's less about fighting the negative and more about consistently feeding the positive.
That makes sense. Small, consistent steps. Okay, so once you've spent a month laying that mental groundwork, steering things positively, the guide then shifts gears pretty quickly into the action phase. Days 31 to 60, this is where those internal shifts start showing up in what you actually do. Exactly.
Phase 2 is all about embedding new habits, powerful ones that act as catalysts. The guide gets specific here too, things like waking up early. It suggests 6 a.m. maybe, if 5 a.m. feels like way too much. And let's be honest, for a lot of us, that 6 a.m. alarm can feel pretty brutal at first. But the guide frames it as a keystone habit, one that makes other good habits easier to stick with, sets the tone for the day. It also recommends 30 minutes of exercise or just walking daily, and cutting down mobile phone use a lot, and reading more. Actual books, less screen time. The idea is reclaiming your focus, your mental space. And finally, building a daily learning habit. Learn a new word, maybe an online skill, something small. It's about creating this constant, upward spiral of small improvements.
Right. It sounds like a really structured way to tackle procrastination and, distraction. Yeah. The guide actually says that by the end of the second month, you'll genuinely feel like a new person. What does that actually mean? Feeling like a new person? How would you know?
Yeah, it's less about one big aha moment, I think. It's more about a gradual but deep shift in how you see yourself and your energy levels. The guide sort of suggests that by doing these things that are maybe uncomfortable but good for you consistently, you build self-efficacy. You actually start seeing yourself as the kind of person who gets up early, who exercises, who learns. That internal story changes from, I wish I could do that, to, oh, I am doing that. It's the buildup of all those small wins. That's what creates that feeling of being, transformed. Yeah. Boosts your confidence from the inside out.
Okay, that makes sense. It's the cumulative effect, which leads us perfectly into the final stretch, days 61 to 90. This seems to be where all that foundation building, all that habit formation really comes together. It's about focus, right? Finishing strong. Clarity meets achievement.
Absolutely. Yeah, the instructions for this last month are super focused and pretty bold, actually, it says.
Yeah.
Choose one specific goal. Could be fitness, career, money, whatever, just one. And then for those full 30 days, you dedicate 1 hour every single day to working on that goal. No skipping. And the final piece, which is crucial, track your progress daily. Because, as the source puts it really powerfully, progress is motivation. You need that visible feedback loop to keep reinforcing your effort.
Wow, okay, so it's like hyper-focusing all that momentum you've built onto one single target. But, I mean, most of us have lots of goals we want to hit. Does the guide give any advice on how to pick just one for this phase? And what happens if you hit a wall, a plateau during those 30 days of intense focus?
Well, it doesn't explicitly say how to choose, but it implies you should pick the goal that would make the biggest positive difference overall. The one thing that, if you nail it, might make other things fall into place easier. The biggest domino, maybe. As for plateaus, that's exactly where that progress is motivation idea really kicks in. By tracking daily, even tiny steps forward count. They get celebrated. It helps you reframe progress. It's not always this steep climb. It's about the continuous effort. Every small action validates the journey, and that fuels you to take the next step. It builds that sense of personal mastery.
Okay, so pulling this all together for you listening, the big message from this guide, from this deep dive, seems crystal clear. Personal transformation, it's not magic. Not really. It's the direct outcome of consistent daily work applied strategically over these 90 days. The guide has this really powerful line. If you work continuously for 90 days, you become the magic yourself. I like that.
Yeah, it's a great line. It perfectly sums up that connection. Small steps, big change. It really highlights how a structured plan, broken down into stuff you can actually do each day, can lead to huge shifts. This guide really argues that sustained, deliberate effort, that's the real catalyst. So maybe think about which of these phases resonates most with you right now. Is it the mindset work, the habit building, or maybe that final focus goal achievement? Where could you start?
Yeah, it's a great question, and maybe a final thought to leave you with. If just 90 days of this kind of focused effort could genuinely transform a life, what's one seemingly small, consistent action you could start doing today? Something that might just ripple out into a really big change by the end of this year.
Something to definitely mull over. Keep moving forward, keep taking those steps, and believe in what consistent action can do.